purpose place to put that kind of thing that you wanted to have for the congregation, but it wasn't a Sunday morning type thing. And it wasn't, you know, it was not always somebody there that was willing to do the it was sort of a setup slot that you could use. We're getting off, but maybe it's important.
But it would be good to talk to Sylvia and see if she's interested in starting back up again with the RE nights for adults once a month. And yeah, this would be a natural one. You know, we've got the change in leadership transition now happening in social justice from Jan to Carolyn. And I don't know what Carolyn's vision is for the ministry yet. Gail and I are both on the ministry. Jeannie comes too, right? Yes. And so yeah, I'm hoping we get a more robust group. But to comment on what you said, Roberta, I think of it as two separate entities. Meeting here on Tuesday afternoons at 2 o'clock can be the study group, the exploration part. And then joining the social justice ministry can be how we take those ideas and thoughts we have and, you know, find actionable items for them, for those of us who are moved to. That's just my thought.
And also, I wonder if there's a way of coordinating other activities that are occurring in the community. I don't, you know, I sent you, Ani, I don't know if you were able to send it out to the rest of the group about the tomorrow's activity through the Jewish Federation of Greater Santa Barbara, the one having to do with Jews and Blacks and racism. And it just sounds like a very interesting time to spend in discussion with the person who is running it. I don't remember it offhand because I didn't write it down. But, you know, there are other things happening in the community, and it would be nice to be able to plug into those things that are related to what we're interested in.
My own path, my own orientation and interest as a student of evolution, and recognizing the time that we're in, and that we're actually, I mean, we're really in a, I'll try not to use evolutionary language, but we're at a time when we're going to go this way or that way, okay? Depending on the choices that we make and how we learn to co-create with each other. So it's not about filling our time with events that inform us, because we can fill our lives with events that inform us. Because without the co-creative dialogue, which we're in right now, and I appreciate that. I just want to keep our feet on, I just want to keep our feet on the ground, moving forward, becoming a body of people, becoming an organism. Because this is, and it's hard to talk about. I see racism as the tip of the iceberg of a major shift that is vital. It's not about racism as such, though. It's about the infrastructure of our society that looks at this race and this thing and that thing and this thing, because that's not going to get us into a whole system shift. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and if Hal Hill were here, he would say it's the economy. And
it is the economy.
If Larry Bishop were here, he'd say it's the climate. And so they're all pieces that go together. And this is a piece that you are particularly interested in.
Yes.
And obviously we are.
it's bringing those things together. It's not about any one of them because they're all aspects of the same whole. So if we could move toward that as this group, I could help steward that. What we could be a stewardship core for that. That's what I'm interested in. Yes.
Define that. You're saying we could be a stewardship group for?
The focus on climate change, the focus on economy, the focus on racism, with the caste system being the central focus of that, since that's what's holding it in place and causing the economic inequality, which is causing the devastation on Earth, where the economic system is all about creating wealth, not meeting folks' needs. I mean, if we can have a comprehensive, and that's what I'm after, because that moves toward a larger systems view of things. It's not climate, it's not race, it's not economics, it's all of those and more. So I like where this is going. And it's not all under social justice the way social justice has been carried out. It almost has a life of its own. But I don't know what to call it. But we do. We will be able to know.
How do
Jeannie, you've been quiet.
How do we stewardship this group? How do we? You said we could do that together, but how? Like, what does that look like?
I'm not sure I would want to be in on everything. I mean, I think that's a part of it, and I should just be quiet. But I didn't mean.
Say more.
I want to hear from Jeannie and some of the others that are so quiet, Roberta, because I just think these are all aspects of it.
They are. They are all aspects, and we're at a point as a species where we have to realize they're all part of the same thing that we're responsible for changing. It's hard. It's, you know, addressing that and addressing this without a coordinated effort of informing ourselves and becoming a co-creative body of people that can kind of integrate these themes of information to have a larger whole system view for each one of us, where we become more of an all-seeing, dialoguing body of people that can see how things fit in and know as a congregation and even as Unitarian Universalist worldwide, or at least Live Oak as a congregation can begin to lead in a more whole systems view, not reactionary, trying to fix things on this level of consciousness that created them, but have a larger systems view. Now, we can specialize in whatever we want to specialize in, but I can see coordinating this larger group. I'm prepared for that. I've done that this whole century with the Gateway to Conscious Evolution. And seeing how everything fits together, everything impacts each other. It's like the racial white supremacist system the caste infrastructure of society, with racism looking like it's created an economy that is destroying the earth. I mean, those three things fit in with each other clearly. That the racial caste system has created an economy that's destroying the earth and and where it's not equitable among the people of the earth. And there is a brand new economy that I'm still learning about, but it's being practiced, and it's being initiated in Scandinavia right now, where the economy is about meeting the needs of the people, not creating wealth. So this is juice for me. I mean, I love what we're talking about now, and I can talk about that. I don't care how many people there are, because I understand the whole systemness and can relate the things with each other. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I too feel like I've spoken much more than my share, and I want to hear what Jeannie and Roberta have to say, but I have to leave at 2:55. So I'm going to stay here until then. I have a 3 o'clock Zoom commitment that I must keep, but thank you for being here and talking with me about all this today. I just wanted to say, Ani, the things you're talking about, this holistic overview and how the different pieces work together to create this horribly dysfunctional, unfair society we live in. I believe all that. Like, I don't need convincing of it. And I'm guessing that everybody present here is at the same point. And so then my next thing is, what am I going to do about it? Right? I always, like Roberta mentioned, she wants an action at the end. I'm ready to act. I think there's value in having discussions like this, but I also think, I guess I still don't have complete understanding of what your vision is and purpose and goal is. So I'd like to hear from everybody else, and then I have to quietly leave.
And then I want to ask to directly answer your question before you leave.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I kind of want to go back to what Liz asked a few minutes ago about what would that look like? How, you said you could stewardship such a group. What would the practical appearance of that be?
See, that's where dialogue and social action marry. And I'm talking marry. I've shared a bit of the practice that I've developed this last year of returning to the now unfolding moment. We're at a time where we have to become present. It's not about acting on what's on the outside as a reaction. It's because we don't know the way to do it. Nobody knows how. And so finding that place within ourselves where we are in communication with the now moment, like the rest of nature, because we are nature, it's unfolding a moment at a time. As we develop a practice of being, it's almost like being human nature, which means not planning in our heads, laying this down. This is our best thought. This is our best thought. It's being informed by spirit. It's being informed by our own innate knowledge. We have innate knowledge that we have just not, we've gotten out of touch with listening within to the prompts, the intuitions, the ideas that come. Nature is very generous. Spirit is very generous. Earth is very generous as a living system to inform us if we're listening together and then taking the actions that we hear with each other. So it's not bringing our minds together with our best, you know, our best plan. That's what got us here. We've stopped listening. We've stopped being informed from within. And it's a discipline of slowing down, which the coronavirus is a gift by, you know. Gail, I hear you coming up to say something. Please.
Well, I'm trying to make that next step that I think Jeannie and Liz were asking about, and that is, as you describe this, it sounds like an individual thing rather than a group thing. Are we all waiting till we all become enlightened and then suddenly we will all be elevated, or?
No. Well, yes, but we don't start there.
I mean, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, we all will be elevated after as we follow our unfolding innate knowing that spirit, earth, whatever you want to call it, synergy gives us. I mean, we're amazingly designed creatures that haven't utilized our deepest knowledge because our hearts are not quiet, our minds are not quiet. We're reacting to stuff outside. And we can't go forward like that. The shift is that shift, because as we are informed from the outside, as we are informed from the inside out, we can change the outside. I mean, that's the truth.
So when we come together at whatever intervals, what would we be doing together?
We would be sharing the downloads, the higher consciousness downloads, the insights that we get, the guidance, the inner guidance that just kind of comes up that you're paying attention to and noticing. We're bringing those insights into group dialogue from whatever field it is. If it's climate change, economics, racism, and all of the others. It's a different way. It's a totally different way of going forward than we are used to doing.
So are you saying we would have the opportunity to share what our insight is in this present moment and have the opportunity to share that with each other?
Yes, because it's like these individual consciousness downloads, insights, intuitions that we get to share this with each other from wherever we're coming from. The larger group mind will be formed. Not one of us knows how to go forward. It's only the larger group mind that is informed by what's coming up in us. It's only the larger group mind that is smart enough. Go ahead, Gail.
Is this transcendentalism?
I don't know what transcendentalism is.
I think we don't really either.
But,
as you're talking, I'm thinking you're speaking more to the universalist nature of our group than to the Unitarian. The Unitarian is very pragmatic, practical reasoning. The Universalist is more feeling, absorbing. But then I'm thinking, okay, what's his name was, our big minister way back when, there was the Transcendentalist. I think he was the Unitarian, but he was also talking about connecting with the transcendental. I never really understood it. So anyway, that was where my brain went while you were talking.
So the group would not be topic oriented. It would be present moment insight oriented.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's process. It's living in process. This thing I've been doing for this last year and continue to do, because That's the only way I know to go forward. It's process oriented. It's living in process. It's the now moment. That all, you know, avatars, you know, non-doctrined avatars or whatever. And I can't even really use that word because I'm not into that. But it is the unfolding moment. It is nature. It's nature-based. It's earth-based. It's natural based. We have insights. We are inspired and guided if we take the time to honor that, because that's the only way we're going to get through this as a human species that can go on. We can't go by what we've learned and what we know, because we've gotten so far from our inner core, our inner nature. And you can call it what, and I'd like to hear more about the how you were talking about the universalism. To me, Unitarian is each one of us. And universalism is the universe informing us individually as a collective body to do on the earth the way that it will work for all of us, for all species, for the climate, for economics. I mean, humanity hasn't come into its crowning glory yet. And we can only do that by following inside with each other, because each one of us has a perspective that each one of us needs. So
I like that. That's powerful.
I recorded it. We're recording.
Oh, that's good, because I'm not going to remember it all. I was hoping Jeannie was taking notes and going to give us minutes when we got through.
I didn't start from
I'm
the
sorry,
start.
I've got to go. Bye,
Okay,
everybody.
honey.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bless
Liz.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. See, it's because of the coherence of this group that has been formed so far that I could even say what I said.
Hmm.
It's because of your openness and receptivity that what I just said can't even be spoken, because it's a field phenomenon. We're building a field, and a coherent field, like Jeannie sent out, you know, to us about an island of coherence. You almost have to have that to speak things of the heart, because otherwise it's just thoughts and perspectives, which we need, but we have to have the resonance first, the heart-centered coherence where we're listening to the wisdom within us. Because there's not much wisdom outside of us at this point.
Sometimes I feel like it's all outside of me, but
You have a great deal of wisdom and experience. You're an anchor to me.
oh, thank you. I will try to live up to that.
Yeah. You've been on this path. You've been paying attention for a long time and trying to come from the inside, I think.
Mm.
I mean, that's how I sense you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that's how it feels, is from the inside.
Good.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like I should be more of an activist, and I envy the people that do that. But
Is it working? Is that activism on the outside working at this point in any way, shape, or form?
Well, some of it is in some ways, I think, but
But we don't
it
have
releases some energy at any rate. So.
True. True. I mean, I think we have wisdom within that can take us where the universe is intending us to go. If we just take the time to pay attention on a daily basis and then come together and talk about it with the ideas, the new, because it fits. It all is a whole, a very well functioning whole. I mean, I don't know where I put it right. It's not at my fingertips right now, but the earth knows how to interact with itself. And we don't know how to interact with ourselves now. But recognizing ourselves as the earth, as part of earth, as nature, we can begin to interact with each other in a different way that's all not exterior and mental. Because we're not going to make it as a species if we're trying to fix the external through the mind. It's not going to work. But as we embrace maybe more the feminine side, which is more inside, which is in process, which is open, inclusive, we have a better shot. I mean, there's a lot of, yeah.
Well, I guess what I have to say at this point is, I hear what you're saying. I find it interesting. I find that the reason that I'm quiet is that I cannot describe those things verbally. The way that I live my life informs what I believe and what I think, but I don't know how to describe that. And so how much I would be able to actively talk about the things that may come up in the group, I really don't know. I'm happy to learn. I like to be educated and informed. I like to see how much of what's happening in the wider world agrees with my personal inner beliefs and understandings and the ways in which I hope the world will evolve. But I can't talk about it. It's the reason that I left my Covenant group. It was because let's see if I can describe it. It felt very artificial. You had a topic to talk about, and then you had to come up with all these examples of how it fits into your life. And to me, it's just not how I live my life. Let's see if I can think of something. One of my core values is the value of justice and fairness. And so I don't think about that all the time, but I'm aware that when I behave in a certain way, it's definitely because I am right there dealing with, is this fair? Is this just? Is this honorable? Does this have integrity? Is this kind? But I don't think of it in advance. And I can't remember, I can't give you examples. Just because I think it just is who I am. It's just who I am. So I just don't know how to talk about it.
That's beautiful. You're doing it right now.
But that's the best I can do.
You just did, I guess.
You just did, because that's the nature of this group. I mean, that's what I'm holding for this group, to be able to do exactly what you're talking about. And that riff that I did, I don't know what I said because it was in the moment, and I'm glad we got it on tape, but it's only because of the resonance of this field of the 4 or 5 of us. You can't say those things in a field that's not listening. That's more wanting to express and give perspectives and views and talking about stuff is not what I want to do.
No, and it's, I see a lot of it having to do with how, analyzing what is happening or what you're doing, and I can't do that.
No, I
I
can't.
how to
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know how to do that. I often think to myself, what kind of a legacy do I want to leave? Particularly to my grandchildren. I don't know why it makes me cry, but in any case, I can't write it down. I don't know how to write it down for them. I only hope that whatever I do in relationship to them and the world, that somehow they see, because I don't know how to write it down. Basically, I don't know how to say, I hope you will do this. I hope the world, I hope to see blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to do that. And so that makes it hard for me to participate in a discussion. I'll do mostly listening because it's just not me.
Are you okay with that, with just listening?
Oh yeah, because I know on some level I am integrating it with my life, but I'm not always aware in the moment of how it is being integrated.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere down the road, it may pop up, it may not, but it's kind of like, I can remember when I was in school and even out of school, I would be in some kind of a group. We'd be discussing something. And maybe there was some decision that needed to be made, and there were ideas, pro, con, whatever. And I'd be sitting there just listening, not saying a word. Everybody around me was just jabbering away about all their ideas. And then all of a sudden, I would have a sentence or two that pulled it all together. And, I wasn't thinking about it that way, but people would just say, oh, Roberta, you just pulled the whole thing together. You just, and I don't know. It just happened. It just happened because somewhere my brain was functioning in such a way that it was taking all of these ideas and it was consolidating them in a way that I was able to express very concisely and meaningfully. But I can't plan that, I can't talk about the things that you talk about, Ani. It just happens. It just happens.
Thank goodness we have people like you.
Pardon?
Thank goodness we have people like you.
I guess the upshot is at least you'll understand now if I'm quiet. It's because I don't know how to express what it is that you're all trying to express. It's in there somewhere.
And you're still processing.
That's true. I was going to say that earlier, that I'm processing, but I can't tell you how.
You're golden. What you're sharing now is golden.
Mhm.
And it's an example of resonance. That because we're listening
Mhm.
deeply. And that's what you do.
Yes.
And each one of us is different. We're a differentiation of the whole. Each one of us is a differentiation of the whole
Mhm.
and is needed. So I love what we're doing right now. I love who we are right now. You know, and we're making it up as we go along, which is the only way that what is sustainable. I mean, making it up as we go along and seeing what works is where we're starting as a human race since COVID-19 shut us down.
Mhm.
If you look at it from an evolutionary point of view. So right, this moment is perfect to me with us. How to describe it? I don't know. New, coherent, exploratory, interesting, valuable.
It's interesting how the whole process, if you think back over what happened during this time, has brought us to this moment in whatever way. Ideas, questions, comments, different people, different ways of thinking, different things. And it brings us to this moment, and we're all in different places, and we're probably in different places than when we started, but it's all been sort of put together. It's interesting.
This is a natural flow. You know, this is
Maybe natural, but it's not always common. It doesn't always happen.
No.
Well, that's part of why it's happening now, is because we can't be doing all the things that we used to be doing. So it's opened up a space where
right.
we can be experiencing ourselves in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's an intervention.
Sometimes I think there's a lot of intervention going on in this world today, in this universe today.
I just really try to stay inside myself, because I know that's where the wisdom is and God guidance is. And peace. I mean, even though as I'm reading some of this material, like Cast, I have to stop from time to time because I want to cry. I have to stop from time to time because the injustices that have been so prevalent all throughout the history of the founding of this country and the operation of this country has done such damage to particularly African Americans. But I want to learn it, but I want to stand and learn it, not be knocked down by it. I just need to take a breather sometimes, but to bring it in, strengthen my constitution, strengthen my heart, strengthen my will to participate at this moment of time for the benefit of humanity by following my inner guidance. And collectively doing that, there are some groups in the country, in the world, there are some coherent pockets of people. I want to be one. I want to participate in a consciously evolving group, mainly of women, because we're more prepared to do this. It's more natural to us to follow nature and men to follow us. Although they don't much yet. But Roberta, you're just golden. You are. And you do know how to talk about it when people are listening. We all know how to talk about it when people are listening, but we're talking deep listening. And that's precious to me. That's what I desire our field to be. And we're doing that right now.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and we can't do it perfectly. Nature, Earth, doesn't do anything perfectly. It figures it out by interaction. You know, every evolutionary jump that there has been, every new species that has happened, has been in a muddy pool of interaction. And you come out of it with mud all over your face. Everybody's got mud on their face. But hey, we're in a new place.
So if I understand from our conversation over this period of time today, we're not thinking in terms of how we can bring other people along with us, because that would be overwhelming for them. And it would be overwhelming for us to try to teach them. We're gradually going to evolve ourselves as we continue to learn and to discuss and to process and to decide what fits, what doesn't fit for each of us. We accept certain things, we will throw certain things away, and but not necessarily be thinking in terms of bringing other people along with us at this particular time.
Right.
Because that would
Right.
be overwhelming for everyone.
We're a pod. We're just a pod in a petri dish. We're in a petri dish. Because we're talking a new humanity, because what we've been doing, we have to evolve. We have to consciously evolve or die. I mean, we are consciously evolving ourselves as a humanity that begins to grow up and cooperate and make room for each other and listen to each other and nurture our inner self, our inner life, love ourselves, that we can love others and hold space for others in their becoming.
But then it has to be more than just dealing with the injustices in the Black community.
Yes.
It really has to be, while that has been the initial focus, because right now that's what's happening around us, but the fact of the matter is that it has happened to everyone. And so we have to make sure that we don't minimize that fact or ignore that fact and instead just focus on the Black community, because what has happened to them has affected all of us.
Yes.
Has been a part of the history of more than just the Black community.
Absolutely. And it's worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Along those lines, one of the things that I've been considering now for a few weeks is the concept of consent. I was listening to a Native American woman who was, she was talking about that this time, or not this time specifically, but the survival of humans and the planet will require cooperation and collaboration. But she was talking about how few things she has given consent to. And I started thinking about that too in my life, how I'm trying to define or notice as I make agreements whether I'm really cooperating and collaborating, or whether I'm going along to get along.
Oh.
Which is not consent. It may look like consent, agreeing to something, because it's the easy way, but it isn't real cooperation or collaboration. And so that's, ever since I listened to her lecture, that's kind of been on my mind, to bring myself present when I do decide to do something. Is it real consent? She even went as far as to say she didn't consent to having a birth certificate or a social security number. And of course it goes really to our relationships with each other too, in a big way. But for me personally, it's just brought me conscious to those decision points when someone says, will you do this, or let's do it this way, whether I'm really in agreement with that, or whether I have a different direction that I'd like to go.
Yeah. And that's an old mindset. That's a mindset that needs to change to like, I mean, where it comes from within. I mean, we're so used to, it's like the best we can do is try to agree with each other, you know, to get along. That's not going to make a new species. I mean, that's not going to evolve as a body, as a human body, as an organism, a human organism on Earth.
She talked about it as the wheel of life, the hoop, the great hoop of life.
Say more, if you can.
Well, in terms of consent, she talked about that it's a hierarchical thing, that we can see that people of color and indigenous people and poor people, and as the levels, you know, they have less consent. But she said even like 98% of white men are answering to someone else who has an influence over their choices as to whether they maintain their living, the jobs that they have, or the power that they have. And so the idea that for the great hoop of life to be functioning, that has to be transmitted or formed into a cooperative, collaborative kind of equality.
As opposed to consent. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
consent is part of that, but where you're really giving consent, where you're really in agreement.
Okay.
But the key is our own integrity, which I think that's what Roberta was describing when she was really sharing her heart, that it's a thing of connecting with our own integrity in our values, and then living in that way as best we can.
That's the best feeling that anybody can have. For me, I know, is if I'm living in integrity, no matter what, you know, if I'm speaking with integrity, that's peace of heart, of mind. And that's what this kind of process is about. It's not trying to define things in terms of of anything other than, it's an unfolding.
Yeah.
It's an unfolding in the now moment of who I truly am, which Roberta does beautifully.
When you talk about the wheel or the hoop, Jeannie, it made me think about our UU tradition, or whatever, however it fits in. And I think of this so often, of the interdependent web of all humanity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so you can't really divest yourself from that, because you are caught up in it. So I guess it's a matter of how you choose to fit yourself into it or deal with it. Or I have to share with you the image that I always have when we talk about that, and I love it. One year there was a great infestation of outdoor spiders at our old house that we lived in, and I would go out in the backyard at the side of the house, which was kind of narrow, and between the house where we had a vine growing and the fence where there were some other vines and bushes. During this period, if I go out in the early morning, it would just be filled with a web. I don't know how many spiders it took to do it, and they weren't the nice, neat, you know, regular ones that come out, but it was sort of all over. But it'd be covered with dew, and you'd touch, just barely touch. It's true with any spider web. One little piece of it, and the whole thing would go. And the water might drip off of it or what, but it's totally, any one tiny touch on a web like that, and everything feels it. And there's not really much escaping from it. Not that we necessarily would. I mean, I found it kind of beautiful. And
Gail, you've just gone right to the heart of what a pod of this kind is. That as we join together, and you just shared so beautifully, one little piece of that affects the whole. Mm-hmm. You just touch one piece of that web, and the whole web is affected by it.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's really a beautiful image to bring us to.
Yes. And that concludes, that's the summation. Are we meeting next week or in 2 weeks? And I'm not inviting anybody else. I mean, I'm happy if it's just us 4 or 5 and 6, well, 7, 4, anyway, 6 of us, Pat and Liz,
Sue.
And Sue.
Sue.
Or did Sue just,
I don't
was Sue
know.
just to get us started? Was that her idea, or did she want to?
I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't sense her being where we are.
I have a little reservation with not inviting anyone and having a closed group, I'll put it that
No,
way.
it's not
Big-
closed.
Well, first of all, I don't like the idea of closed groups unless there's a real reason for it. I mean, a definite. But the other one is when new people come, you get new ideas, you get new thoughts, you get,
Mhm.
so how you balance that, but maybe the answer to Liz would be not right now or something, or at least be very clear as to what we're about.
Well, what if you didn't make a statement? What if you just, if in her announcement, she mentions that this group has formed, that this is what we're dealing with, and don't say anything about new members, old members, and see what happens. Be one way of dealing with it.
It was announced in the Acorn. Do you know if anybody joined us as a result of that?
No, nobody did.
Even though it's not a closed group, if anybody could choose to join us. We aren't actively recruiting. Is that how you would say, Ani?
You say we are not, or we are?
Not.
We are not a
Okay.
closed group. We're an open group, but we're not out beating the bushes to try to have numbers.
Mhm.
Right. We're an open group. What was the other thing that you said?
Not actively recruiting.
Right. Not recruiting. And I'm not putting the link out. If they want to know
Yeah.
more about it, give me a call.
Yeah,
Perfect.
good idea.
Yeah.
What are we calling ourselves?
Well, some of the things that you said that I think identify it as whole systems view exploration, or something that's really taking in the big picture. Whole systems consciousness, something like that. I wouldn't use the word holistic, but I'd say whole systems consciousness, or something along those lines.
We are evolving, including our name.
Yeah.
Evolving exploration group.
I think if I had seen that, it wouldn't appeal to me at all. So I think we need to have it somehow relate to what we're doing and talking about.
Yeah, and to name what this is, what we are now in this process that we are, because what we're embodying right now is it. And the term may not come before we leave, but
Yeah.
because nature is unfolding, it's unfolding, and but we can have email exchange. I mean, whole systems view. I mean, I think one of us will be presented with it. And you know when you get that kind of hit, that evolutionary impulse.
The word exploring is coming to my mind.
I like that.
I do too.
Somewhere in there,
inner and interpersonal exploration? Because inner sounds like we're just going to be meditating, but it's very, what we're talking about is very interpersonal, isn't it? But then that sounds like
Psychological.
70s stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah, let's think about it.
Because what we're it's inner exploration of whole system awareness. How does that feel?
I don't know about, I wouldn't understand whole system awareness. I wouldn't have understood it.
It's
Didn't understand it.
Right. Are we good with inner exploration? But it's as a group. Huh?
Sounds too psychological.
Too psychological? Okay.
Jeannie?
Exploration and dialogue.
Yeah. We don't have to say of what right now, do we?
No.
Or do we? Maybe we should.
No.
That's where we explain it to people. No, that's where we tell people to go talk to Ani about it.
Yeah. I'm fine with that. Exploration.
Or Jeannie.
Yeah.
Roberta and I'll just say, go here. Go here.
I'll say just
Exploration. What? What would you say?
I'll just say, just watch me.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. I'll show you.
Give it a name.
Isn't there a song or something about that? Just watch us go or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm very happy. Are we meeting next week or in 2 weeks? Roberta, you're the one that.
I'll do whatever you all want to do. And if there's any week that I can't make it, I'll just let you know. But I'm trying to keep the day clear. The only thing that potentially could interfere would be my time with the grandchildren, because every week my son calls, can you do it this day and this time? But
It's all right.
I could just say, no, I can't do it at that time.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say with our new understanding that all we have to bring is our own heart. We don't have to have any preparation. We don't have to have read anything or looked at any videos or been preparing in any way, but just to bring our own presence.
That's good. I do like the references that you guys have given us. They've been very valuable.
I can't help but find stuff and send it. I mean, that sparks me. So I'd be happy to continue and broaden the expanse of what I send.
I would like to pass on a book, which doesn't happen to me very often. Both literally, I guess, it's a library book, but I found that they have to put them in quarantine for 7 days after you return them before they give them out again. So that I read it and Tom's reading it. It's very short. It's a book from my college. Occidental College is starting a book everybody reads, like they have Santa Barbara reads. And this one I'd heard about. It's Read to the Bone. Have anybody heard about it?
R-E-D?
R-E-D, yes, like blood. And it's, oh shoot, what's her name? Woodson, I think. Woodsen. At any rate, everybody was reading it and I was able to get a copy, and it's it's 200 and some pages. It's very short. It's a novel. It's about a Black family, actually it gets into 4 generations. And Tom's reading it now. He's not as taken with it as I was. I found it very interesting, and it approaches things from a different perspective than I've seen it before. Their contemporary family. Well, I guess in the 70s. It spans a period of time because it goes back and forth. But if you haven't heard about it, you might want to look it up. And right now we have the copy, and I would be happy to loan it. I just got it. I've only had it for a week, so so it doesn't have to go through the quarantine if anybody's interested. So we can talk about getting it to.
And how has it edified you?
Well, it's been very interesting. Well, I'm a literature major way back when, so I also like the way books are written and the way the author chooses to put the book together, and it does not have a continuous narrative. Each chapter is dealt with a person, and there's 3 women and 2 men, the husbands of 2 of the women. And so things sort of, you have to build the book together, the story. But it talks about the Black family and some of the Black experiences. They aren't all necessarily Black, but it's how the Blackness affects them. And they're Black to different degrees and for different reasons. And it's not the usual Southern poor Black stories that you read about. They're a contemporary family. The main family lives in Brooklyn, and it's, I think, in the 70s. The daughter goes to Oberlin. They have a kind of coming out.
But how has it affected you, edified you? Not about it, but about
Yeah,
your
I see.
experience of
Well,
it.
it's made me think about things in a different way. It's a different way of looking at the Black families. It's not super deep, but it's also personal. They could be not necessarily Black, but that's what made me think about it for this group. And the way all the different things that have happened have affected the family. The ones that end up in Brooklyn, I think, started with the Oklahoma riots that we now are hearing about, which none of us ever heard about. My mother was a young woman at the time. I never heard her mention it.
So it gave you another way of seeing.
Yeah. It's a different
Nice.
perspective on things and a different way of looking at things.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
And
let's
it's
meet. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's easy to read. So just let me know if you're interested.
Read to the bone. Good. I'll check it out.
Okay.
Roberta, could you send a link to the thing that the Jewish Federation is doing? Could you send that to us?
That'll be tomorrow at noon.
I got it, but I'm confused about that because I have signed up for those things, and sometimes I have registered for some of the things that they put out there, and sometimes I don't get the link back. So I'm going to check that out because I don't want to send people on a wild goose chase.
Yeah. I'll
And
you though, Jeannie, and then you'll if you can register, that would be good.
Yeah, let me know too.
So you'll send the information?
Yeah, I'll send it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, Ani, if it doesn't work, then we'll just have to let them know that it's not working right.
yeah, what you forwarded to me didn't come intact. Let me try to forward it to them.
Okay.
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 And
if you don't get it, somebody let me know and I'll forward mine.
Along this line, you didn't do it through Beagle Ears. You did it directly?
I did it directly.
Yeah, because if you forward through Beagle Ears, it won't take it. It's too big a bundle or something. It thinks it's spam. Or actually, it sends it back to Lars, and he has to release it to go out.
I'm not on Beagle Ears.
Okay, so, but it may be something that works that same way to keep these massive things from going out. And so one thing I've learned to do with it is when I get some, this is specifically for Beagle Ears, if I don't sort of edit it, is just copy it and then put that into a new mailing so that it doesn't carry all the baggage with it. I don't know how it works, but
All right, I can do that. I'll get it ready just in case.
okay.
Okay, but I'll send it out today or to tomorrow. And if,
Well, it's happening at noon tomorrow.
oh yeah, I'll
Yeah.
send it out when.
And you have to
when-
be registered? And it's a virtual online?
I'm going to take another look at it now because I'm not,
Okay.
I haven't thought about it. But I'm pretty sure that you had to register and then they send the link.
Yeah,
I can't
'cause
do it noon tomorrow anyway. I have another Zoom.
I registered for that and I haven't got the link. I'll do it again and I'll send it on to you guys too, because I would like to go to that tomorrow.
So I'm in favor of meeting next week.
I am
Okay.
too.
Okay.
Okay. sounds
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Bless
All
you.
right.
Bless you all. Good
And I
meeting.
will I'll send you the link to this recording.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if I can take it again or not.
You can skip.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.